Hey sisters, it's your sister Sun Goddess 89. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, subscribing, and sharing my content. It really means a lot to me. So today's topic is black male worshipers. What would they not do to keep their man?
Reality contradicts what men are telling them. For example, it doesn't matter that women know that they're in hospitals with their legs in stirrups, giving birth to babies that grew into humans and were created in their own wombs. The only thing that matters is that a man told them that they came from his rib and that the man is the seed, and the man therefore determines not only the race but the identity of the child. The man is the creator of life. The woman is simply an incubator. Women have been said to be stupid and illogical because they believe everything that men say. And when you believe what someone tells you, even when what they tell you is contrary to reality, then I would have to then agree with them. You are illogical and at the very least stupid adjacent. We're just going to say that. It seems though that black women are the ones who believe the words of men the most. And we know that because black women operate very differently than other groups of women do. While other groups of women will actually require that their men reciprocate something, black women all too willingly jump into these one-sided relationships with these bandits who, mind you, don't even have anything to offer them, not even a good attitude.
It's sad when a person you think you in love with don't even have a good attitude towards you. Check out this video I found of this black male worshiper.
Waiting by the phone. I can recall as a teen girl just waiting by the phone, hoping that the guy would call me. Dialing up their number to make sure that it's correct. All the things that you would see in movies or songs, that was me. And
sisters, we're only hearing the beginning of it.
Instead of setting boundaries to say, I'm not going to wait and ruin the rest of my day or my afternoon or evening waiting on somebody that does not value my time. So that was just some of the things that I would do throughout my teens, my 20s, my 30s. So when I got with the boyfriend that I was with for 5.5 years that was abusive, it was more out of a sexual lust. Unfortunately, I joined the Navy right out of high school. I graduated in June 1991, and by September 23rd, I was raising my hand and in boot camp in Orlando, Florida. I wanted to see the world, make my own money, and I wanted to make the Navy a career. I knew I was smart and I had the potential to do great and amazing things. So I go into service and I developed different relationships with guys, but they didn't last very long. Then I met the boyfriend. He was a mutual friend of a very good friend of mine. We happened to cross paths on a July 4th weekend. He was attractive to me. Things kind of developed from there as far as then our dating. There were signs, there were red flags.
There were signs and red flags, but she ignored them for that king ding-a-ling.
He would make fun of my friends. To me, looking back on it now, I dismissed things that I should have not dismissed. But when again you have low self-esteem, a person will look other way and not set boundaries, unfortunately. He had his place, I had mine, and we were exclusively dating each other. And I recall where my menstrual cycle was late. He was coming over to visit, and I'm like, we're adults. I will tell him, and I did. Without warning, he hauled off and punched me in my stomach.
Black men like to have unprotected sex. That doesn't mean they want to be fathers.
And I gasped for air. I'm shocked. I just couldn't believe that that's what he did. And I fussed him out, told him to get out of my apartment. And he started crying and walks out the door and starts walking up the street. And I go up the stairs to my bedroom. And then I stop and I'm like, wait a minute. I want to know, why did he just do that? Because
instead of calling for help because she just got hit in the stomach, she want to know why he did that.
Because we as women, we're very inquisitive. We want answers. And so I walked down the steps. out the door, I find him, and now we're confronting each other in the middle of the street. I want answers, and he's crying, I don't know what happened to me. I'll never do it again. I'm sorry. And unfortunately, in the military, I'll have to share this with you. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We may have some type of form of training about domestic violence, but it's very watered down. And to a woman in the military, we don't think that the resources that are available are for us.
The resources are there for you guys. You're so smart that you're thinking that the resources aren't for y'all. Like, this woman wanted that. She admits to having low self-esteem. She wanted everything this man gave her.
I was thinking that these resources or issues are for the spouse of the veteran, of that service member. So unfortunately, I brought him back into my apartment. I accepted the baby. I'm sorry. I love you. I'll never do it again. And we went back and we went into my bedroom and we had makeup sex. What occurred was the completion of the 3-phase cycle of domestic violence. Looking back on it now, that's what happened. You have the tension phase, the full-on abuse, and then the honeymoon phase. I wish I would have known this earlier in life. I always put that situation in the back in my mind, wondering when was the next time. And there were next times. The random slaps across the face, the jealousy of wanting to fight another guy because he thought that they were looking at me.
All these horrible examples she's giving, none of these examples made her leave.
Him being and making a fool of himself. And then by this time, we are now living together. In my mind, I'm like, oh, he's showing that he cares. That's my naivety at the time. Looking hindsight, that's not healthy. So it was those subtle things that were the red flags. And then also the drinking, the poor behaviors, cussing up a storm, the stress of my job. I didn't realize that stress could delay a menstrual cycle. So I wasn't pregnant. It was due to the stress of my job because I was dealing with a war on 3 different fronts. I was facing a war of dealing with someone who professed that they loved me, but did not act like it. In the military, in the job, I was very rare as a naval air crewman. So I was actually the first in 3 different Navy squadrons due to my gender and skin color. And then I also was flying combat missions in 3 different wars.
She's a very smart lady. Don't when it comes to that hobo.
I had compartmentalized in each situation just to have some sanity and to survive. This abusive relationship was not the only adversity that I was experiencing. And many times survivors, victims of domestic violence or anything, it's not the only thing that they're experiencing. It creates a depression, anxiety. We're looking over our shoulders. We're questioning our sanity. I know I became isolated from my friends, from doing the things that I like, because now my world was wrapped around this person. We liked gambling. We liked going to casinos. That developed a negative coping skill, and it actually led into financial abuse. So I was experiencing physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, and financial abuse.
I'm sorry, but that black male worshiper is not a victim at all. She allowed this to happen.
He would spend all of his money that was supposed to be for bills. I would have my bills paid, but I would spend what I had left over. And now in order to keep his part of the bills paid, now I'm running up my credit cards, loans, and found myself into significant debt.
She's a Barbara the Builder. Shaking my head.
There were times where a week or a month would go by and we're in bliss, where we would go out to the clubs together and concerts and sporting events and traveling. And then it could be something that would trigger him that I wasn't aware of, to where he's looking at me in disdain of, look at your crooked teeth, look at you, and just constantly tearing me down. So it was very hard to share with people. I never even told my friends, my family. I would bring them to family reunions. I put a smile on my face. That was my mask, and nobody knew the wiser. Because what they saw when we were together that we were a loving, fun couple. We would have a party at our house and his drinking would get out of control, just punching holes in the wall.
It sounded like she was in prison, but most relationships with black men, you are a prisoner.
Remember, as I was preparing for an exam in the military, he would turn the lights off while I was studying, and therefore I was trying to read my books with the sunlight that was coming through the blinds. It was that type of sabotage that I experienced. He would also like to wrestle. I might be sitting on a couch or on the floor, and he would just come over, put all his body weight on me and hold me down, hold my head down. And I'm working up a sweat, and I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with this guy? Who does this? I'm minding my own business. That gesture of the wrestling and pinning me down happened more than any other situation besides the name calling and the financial abuse. What finally led to me wanting to leave is where he would actually look at me and say, damn, you're ugly.
That is such a shame.
That is pretty significant and a crush to the heart. I realized he was then cheating because he came back from a deployment and his mannerisms were not the same. There was no loving moments. There was no, I missed you. Especially after you would think 6 to 9 months deployment, he would miss me. But no, he would want to go out and hang out with his friends, which I encourage, no problem. But then he wouldn't contact me because I was his designated driver. He would stay out all time of the night. Mind you, I'm just his girlfriend. I'm not a wife.
You're just his girlfriend. And you allowed this man to sit in your face and call you ugly, slap you whenever he get ready to, wrestle you like y'all in WrestleMania, and you concerned why he ain't coming home?
Would anybody know to contact me if something was wrong? No explanation. I'm asking him, how did you get home? Oh, a friend dropped me off. Then this happened a second time. I drop him off at a particular place. I don't hear from him all day, all night long, especially it's now 11 o'clock at night. I know that the bars are closing. Where in the world is he? I'm in my night clothes, and now I'm driving around town to these different locations.
She never put herself first at all.
So where he could possibly be. I'm texting friends, hey, have you seen my boyfriend? Nope, not sure where he's at, what's going on. Now this is disrespect. We have that gut feeling, that intuition that something is not right. And that's when it clicked. I believe he's cheating.
He's crazy. Her intuition only kicked in when she felt like she was sharing his dick. That's the only reason why she let it go. He could do anything he wanted to as long as he didn't step out. If that ain't a form of black male worship, I don't know what is.
Finally shows up 3 o'clock in the morning, intoxicated. Now I'm becoming frustrated and I'm looking at him in anger. And of course he's lying, saying he's not, there's nobody else. Come to find out, he was seeing a service member that he worked with. If it wasn't for the infidelity, I would have still been with him. I was loyal to a fault. That infidelity was the nail to the coffin. And it was going to be either me or him. Because now I was looking at him like I wanted to do something bad to him, but he wasn't worth it.
Only left because he cheated. She didn't care about him abusing her, embarrassing her. She didn't care about any of that. Just keep the dick for me, baby. Damn.
Know that when it comes to marriage, and this post is directly related to marriage, the marriage data says that black women are in one-sided marriages as well. They're in marriages with men who are not providers. The black woman is the provider. He's not monogamous. The black woman is monogamous. He's a cheater. He's a liar. He has side babies and he's abusive. This is what the data says. Yet black women run around making dumbass posts like this where you see this is a black woman who said, when marriage is top priority, priority, the children thrive by association. But when the children come first, the home falls apart. People who grew up in a stable two-parent household tend to understand this better. Then you have another black woman who comes on here and co-signs her stupid shit by saying husband definitely come before kids. That's really not a debate. Now, let me just say this. Most black people we know for a fact do not grow up in homes that are two-parent, and we know also that the majority of black people, including black women, do not come from married parents. We know this. So I don't know where black women are getting their perspective of marriage from, but it's definitely not from witnessing it, and it's definitely not because the black community is known for having these thriving, successful marriages. They are not. The black marriages have the lowest marriage quality rate. They are the most dysfunctional. They often don't operate as two-parent homes. They operate as the husband being another child of the woman. So where would black women get this idea that they can speak to what it takes to make a marriage thrive when most of y'all ain't even for married homes? Most of y'all ain't getting married because you're restricting yourself to these non-committal, devaluing family struggle bandits. So where are black women getting their opinion on marriage from? It raises the question. They're not getting it also from the white community because they're not enmeshed in the white community's relationship dynamics, nor are they observing the marriage dynamics of any other community. Yet we commonly see black women take to social media and talk about marriage as if they've experienced it themselves or as if they've witnessed it from their parents. Because the data says even if the black person's parents were married, it was a dysfunctional marriage. So there should not be any black person, quite frankly, sitting up and talking about what it takes to make a functional marriage because you don't know what it takes to make a functional marriage. This is yet another way for black women to elevate black men and put them on a pedestal that they don't deserve to be on. This woman is stupidly sitting up here saying, but when the children come first, the home falls apart. So the home ain't falling apart because you got a struggle bandit who ain't a provider who's going around cheating with everybody. The home ain't falling apart because you got a dysfunctional relationship dynamic with an abusive man. The home is falling apart because you put your children first. And then when these bandits turn around and throw it in black women's face that they don't put their children first, they don't even consider their children, and they're always allowing men to come into the home that they're putting first, mind you, men who ain't doing a damn thing for them, men who contribute absolutely nothing to their household but dysfunction, then black women will sit up here and scream, oh, they always bashing and hating black women. Probably because y'all make the dumbest statements on the earth. This is a dumb ass statement. Why would you be sitting here talking about putting your temporary husband over your permanent children? And then I want to read y'all a comment section before we move to the next post, because it ain't just black women putting their husbands above their children. They will put any man above their children, and I'm about to show you. But I came in here and I said, not putting your husband who is temporary over your permanent kids. I would love to see other races of women say this bullshit that black women say about marriage. They generally don't, and even if they do, they don't publicize it, which is why we continue to only see black women making these dumbass statements. Now, everybody on earth understands now that a husband is not a permanent position in anybody's life because we already know divorce exists. But look at how stupid these black women act like they are. This woman came on here and said, "Sing, you're wrong here. The children aren't permanent. There'll come a time when they're not children anymore and will leave the house to start their own family. If you neglect your husband, who will you have when that time comes?" Y'all, this black male worshiping idiot literally said your children aren't permanent because they move out the home. Like, this is the logic of these women. And this is why I tell y'all to steer clear of these dumbass black male worshiping women, because I don't know if she knows it or not, but your children being your children is not dependent upon whether they live with you or not. Even when they leave your home, they are still your children. However, marriages only last about 7 years on average. Marriage is not forever. So therefore, your husband would then not be your husband upon a divorce. Why I would have to explain this to a grown-ass, dumbass, black male worshiping, no self-value having ass woman is beyond me. Then you have another comment here where another dumbass black male worshiper said, "How the fuck is a husband temporary?" I can see why black men treat these black male worshipers the way that they do. I would treat them this way too because they're extremely dumb. I can see why they say to an extent that women are dumb, because when you got women out here talking about how is a husband temporary as if marriages last forever, when everybody knows that they last 7 years on average, it just makes you look extremely retarded. Duh, a husband is a temporary position. But it ain't just your husband that you putting above your kids. You putting any man who comes into your purview or who enters into your life above your children. Case in point, you have this post here about boyfriends. So you have a woman here, Kima Williams, who is a black woman, who said, my daughter is upset with me because I would not let her get seconds because I told her I need to make sure my boyfriend eats and he may want seconds as well. He provides the food, so of course I'm gonna make sure he is taken care of before anyone, period, point blank. Then you have this other black woman here who's saying, I wouldn't have worded it that way, but I do agree with her. Anytime there is leftovers, I do care, but I do tell my kids to make sure my partner doesn't want seconds before I allow them to eat the rest of it. These are some dumbass, retarded ass, black male worshiping, low self-esteem having ass bitches. It just is what it is. I can't stand women like this. I can't stand women who think a man comes before everything in their life, even their kids. So what are you even having the kids for? Because you got pregnant? Because you sure ain't prioritizing them. Why are you putting your dumb raggedy ass boyfriend's needs to eat above your kids? What you will never hear me do is prioritize any man above my kids. It ain't gonna happen. And if he got a problem with it, he can get his ass on. I'm not gonna be sitting here thinking about what am I gonna do at night? Who gonna have my back when my kids move out? I'm gonna have my own damn back. Furthermore, black men don't even have their backs like this. Whether they your boyfriend or your husband, they're literally just getting a title from these men. Nothing more, nothing less. She's sitting up here talking about her kids can't even have seconds until she clear it with her boyfriend.
Ladies, get in the comment section. Are you feeling these black male worshipers? Why is there an obligation to put a man before your children or put a man before yourself? You should want to be loved.